What's up, everybody? It's your boy Toxic Boyo. Let's talk a little bit about a franchise called Devil May Cry. It means a little something to me. It's also the talk of the town right now because, according to some leaks, there should be a remake of the first game coming out pretty soon, or, according to Dan Southworth, there might be a remake of the third game coming because he said something to the effect of, he just finished recording lines for a game where he had to sound like himself from 2004. Devil May Cry 3, the first actual true appearance of Virgil, came out in 2005. So, they probably were recording dialogue in '04. Sounds to me, sorry about that by the way, sounds to me like there could be a Devil May Cry 3 remake on the horizon. But, according to the leaks, it looks like a DMC1 remake, with like a new camera angle, with some reworks to the story, probably to try to retcon Virgil in a better way. And that's what I think Dan meant when he was talking about having to sound like his 2004 self, if he is talking about voicing Virgil from back then. The most likely scenario is that they're putting Virgil into the first game in a more meaningful way. He'll have more to do. Maybe we'll see some flashbacks. Maybe we'll get to see him a little bit before he gets corrupted by Mundus. Maybe he'll say something after he's defeated. I don't know. But I guess what we're really here to talk about is whether or not Devil May Cry needs a remake. Because okay. Especially, let's entertain the idea that Devil May Cry 3 is the one that's getting remade. It makes sense to start there because it's the first game chronologically, right? The thing is with Devil May Cry 3, though, I think it's the fan base's favorite game. People, myself included, will still go back and replay Devil May Cry 3 every so often because it's such a good game. Now, is it perfect? No, obviously not. I find the boss fights in that game to be hit or miss, you know. Beowulf is a lot of fun. Cerberus is a lot of fun. All three of the Virgil fights are really good. But you know what's not fun? Gigapede. Heart of Leviathan. Arkham, when he turns into that goop. Not a fan. The fight against Lady. Not a huge fan. You know? So I do find the bosses to be about 70-30 good to bad. So it could be nice to get a rework of some of those bosses, especially because the special edition forces you to fight Jester at least once. And I don't really care for that fight either. It feels like a waste of time. It's not even very memorable. And I didn't do the other two because I didn't care. But none of that is a point. There are things that could be added to make it more fun, to make it a little bit more fleshed out. Like, for instance, did you know that there are 2 different ways to play multiplayer in that game, even back on the PS2? Yeah, if you have the Doppelganger style selected, and you pop your Devil Trigger, you get a Shadow Clone that you can have a friend control if they plug in a second controller. That's pretty sick. The fight against Arkham, where Virgil shows up, that's 2-player. If you ever wondered why it's so weird that, like, Dante and Virgil move in the exact same way once that part of the fight starts and you can't use your Devil Trigger, and everything Virgil does, everything Dante does, Virgil will also do, that's because it's meant for a second player. But they don't tell you that because they didn't. The game is not classified as multiplayer, so like those bits of information were kind of kept secret for a while. But what they could do with a remake is add a more robust multiplayer system in that way. It could be co-op the whole time. I think a fully co-op Devil May Cry game would be a lot of fun, especially if it's DMC3. There's a little bit of that in the Switch version of DMC3 Special Edition. I think there's co-op. I think there's free co-op in that game, but I know there's co-op in the Bloody Palace, which is nice. Another thing they could do is... Oh, what just happened to my brain? I swear, I had something else that I was going to say, and I completely lost it. Oh my goodness. Free style switching, which I think the Switch version of the game also has. It's a mechanic that was introduced in Devil May Cry 4, where with Dante you can freely switch between Trickster, Swordmaster, Gunslinger, and Royal Guard. and it leads to so much more freedom in combat when you are playing as Dante. It also leads to Dante being incredibly complicated in Devil May Cry 4. I suck at playing Dante in DMC4, but DMC5 I'm not too bad. Not good, but I'm not too bad. I definitely prefer to play Nero because he's a lot easier to pick up and play. None of that is the point. The point is, it would be really sick if some of those mechanics from later on in the franchise, particularly 5, were to be added to 3. Freestyle switching and more aerial freedom for combat would be nice. You know, with enemy step and with certain moves in DMC5, you never have to touch the ground when you're fighting a boss. You can just stay jumping. And it would be cool to see stuff like that be implemented into DMC3. But I think the game is pretty damn good the way that it is already. I don't necessarily think that Devil May Cry 3 is bursting for a remake. Now, the first game could be a little rough. I still like it. Not a huge fan of the Mundus fight. Actually, to be honest, I think it's quite terrible, the Mundus fight. But I mean, what can you do? You know, it was the first game of its type. Really, it was a prototype for character action games. So I'm willing to cut it a lot of slack. Don't love the particular fixed camera angles most of the time when I'm playing that game. I would like for the boss that I'm fighting to be on screen. You don't always have that with Griffin. But I think a remake of that game could do it some good. We could get some updated voice acting. I don't know if they would bring Ruben back. That's another thing, right? Capcom doesn't seem to like Ruben Langdon very much right now. I've heard that he was like a COVID denier and he's like conservative and gets into conspiracy theories. I don't know about any of that. I don't care about any of that. I don't think that's a good enough reason to lose your job, right? The Devil May Cry animated series is coming to Netflix in about 2 months. And for some reason, Johnny Young Bosch is voicing Dante. And I love Johnny Young Bosch, right? I think he's super talented. Bleach is my favorite anime in the world, so I'm familiar with his talent, I'm familiar with his voice, so that's why it shocked me to my core when I was watching that full-length trailer a little while ago and Dante spoke and Nero's voice came out. I was very shocked. I don't know if there's an in-universe reason. Maybe Nero is pretending to be Dante, maybe Dante's missing, I don't know. I also couldn't really tell from watching the opening when this show takes place. Because you can see the Force Edge, you can see Alistair, you can see the Yamato, you can see, I believe, the Rebellion, and you can see the Red Queen. But there's no Devil Sword Sparta. So I don't know when this takes place. Theoretically, it has to be between 3 and 1, because Lady's in it. But it seems like Nero's also in it. And during the time of Devil May Cry 3, Nero would have been, you know, in utero. So I don't really know what's going on here, what the ambition is. Don't know if Virgil is supposed to even appear in this show, and if he is, to what capacity. None of that is the point. I just want to throw that in there because I haven't done a video about the show yet, so I did want to briefly give my thoughts on that. But it is definitely strange because I don't know. Johnny said that there's a reason that he's Dante. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that really does mean that Ruben got fired, especially because there's a new voice actor for Ken Masters as well. For anybody that's unfamiliar, Ruben Langdon, the voice actor for Dante ever since DMC3, has also been voicing Ken Masters, I believe, since Street Fighter 4. I think he voiced Ken in SF4, SF5, and Smash Bros. And then suddenly there's this new guy named David Matranga, I'm not sure. Matranga? I legitimately have no idea how to say this guy's name. He's not the point of this video. The point is that Ken Masters is no longer voiced by Ruben Langdon, and Dante is also no longer voiced by Ruben Langdon. So it seems like Capcom has cut ties with Ruben. And if that's the case, what are we going to do about Dante's voice? You know, remaking the first game with Ruben voicing Dante could be really cool, because then he'll sound the same the whole franchise if they remake the second game too, which they should. Which I'll circle back around to that in a second. But I don't want Johnny just being the voice of Dante for the rest of time. That's going to be really weird, especially if he doesn't do anything with his voice to sound less Nero-ish. I know the guy's talented, right? I mean, I had no idea that he was Jonathan Joestar for months. So he's clearly able to do things with his voice to make him not sound like Nero and Ichigo. But what I saw in that trailer was just Nero's voice coming out of Dante's face. And that isn't really something I would be looking forward to if that was the order of the world moving forward. Now, all things considered, Devil May Cry 1 could use a facelift. It could also benefit from having styles put into it. It would be nice to have Dante have a little bit more personality than he did originally. I understand that he's, based on retcons, that he's very depressed after losing his brother, but it would also be nice to have Virgil appear in a more meaningful way, have a little bit more plot significance. It would be nice to have Lady pop up in it, because she, is around somewhere. I know she doesn't just hover over Dante or sit under him 24/7, but it would be nice if he was there, or if she was there. Sorry. I would like for the Mundus fight to be a little bit less irritating. I would like more boss fights in the game so that we don't have to fight Nello, Angelo, Nightmare, and Griffin 3 times each. It would be kind of nice. Although multiple fights against Virgil is kind of tradition at this point, right? You fight him 3 times in DMC 3, and you fight him technically 5 times in DMC 5. So, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe this whole video is a waste of time, you tell me. But the main reason that I would like to see DMC 1 get a remake first is because of Devil May Cry 2. We have an interesting opportunity here if we are going to be remaking the old DMC games, because honestly, DMC 5 has sold like almost 9 million copies. You got to do something with it. It almost scratches the top 10 best-selling Capcom games, right? And we're talking about Capcom, who has also made Street Fighter 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 and Monster Hunter World. So for it to almost be in the top 10 with games like that, it's a pretty big deal. I would like for them to remake Devil May Cry 2. That's the only game that I would say desperately needs a remake, because what they could do is they could take a game that nobody likes. Nobody likes Devil May Cry 2, and if you do, you're a liar. And turn it into something. They could actually make a game out of Devil May Cry 2. Wouldn't that be sick? Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be so much fun? I would personally really like that. Just because DMC 2 is like, it's not memorable hardly at all, other than some of the memes that have come from it. Dante has a couple one-liners that are cool, where he's like, "King? Sure, here's your crown," and he shoots him in the face. That's cool. But for the most part, that game just kind of like, nobody talks about it because nobody likes it. And it's very lucky that A, it didn't kill the franchise right away, and B, Hideaki Atsuno got a second chance to make a Devil May Cry game. But there's so much potential there for something to come out of that, I guess. And I would strongly look forward to that. It's the same way that I felt when the Dead Space remake came out, and I was like, dude, this game's great. Remake the second one, and then when we get to the third game, we have a chance to make something good. That's the absolute main reason that I want a remake of the first game, is so that the second game isn't seen as this black sheep anymore. It's not the ugly stepchild of the franchise anymore. And like, I still don't think that there's anything you can do to bring Devil May Cry 2 up to the same level as the rest of the games, as far as like enjoyment from the community, but they don't have to be quite so terrible anymore. And that's the main thing that I want to focus on, is that the games don't have to be terrible anymore. So you can remake the first game, give it a facelift, upscale it a little bit, add some mechanics that weren't there originally, get to the second game, truly make something special out of that, and then we can do the third game if you want. But if I was in charge of Capcom, oh my god, if I was in charge of Capcom, that's how I'd do it. I would also hire Ruben Langdon back. Unless he, like, did something horrible, which I don't know. I don't know if he killed somebody or something. If he did, obviously don't hire him back. But if he didn't commit any crimes, bring him back. Like, he's not going around saying slurs or anything, is he? Is he pulling a Kanye? Is he anti-Semitic? I don't know. I don't know what the story is. If you know, please enlighten me as to why Ruben seems to have been fired by Capcom. But also, while you're down there, let me know which Devil May Cry game you most want to see get remade, or let me know if you don't think any of the Devil May Cry games need a remake. Maybe just a remaster. Who knows? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below and educate me. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit me with a subscribe. Did the button light up when I said that? They tell me that the button lights up when you say that, but I haven't seen that. Anyway. Also, you know what? Let's talk Devil May Cry. What's your favorite Devil May Cry game? Who's your favorite Devil May Cry character? And which Devil May Cry boss fight is your favorite? And who do you play when you go into the Bloody Palace? Why is there no DLC for DMC5? What a crazy sentence. Where you play as the girls. I would like to play as Trish or Lady. They're fun in DMC4. Anyway, that's enough. I've been yapping for a while. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.